There we go. There we go.
Wow.
Well,
let me just start by saying that, like, if you're a visual learner and you notice Nick looking at his computer every, I would say, 4 to 5 minutes, it's for a reason. Nick, do you care to indulge our townspeople in why that is?
well, if you listened to last week's episode, you may be aware that after about the 26-minute mark, my audio did cut out. It's because my mic stopped recording after that point in time, and we did not realize it because my screen had gone to sleep, and so we recorded the entire hour-and-a-half episode, not knowing that we only got the 26 minutes of my audio. And so now I deleted a bunch of shit off my computer.
How about you tell the townspeople what you refused to delete?
I didn't refuse to delete.
Mama.
Okay, so for those who don't know, my computer, old as fuck. I've had it since I was
mine is older.
Well, I mean, I've had mine longer than you have. Like, I feel like that computer, even like when you got it, it is old, but like it doesn't seem like it has that much wear and tear on it. You know what I mean?
This was also a gift by my friend John.
Shout out to John
if you're listening and watching.
But my computer, I've been using nonstop since I was like 18. I graduated high school. It was my first ever personal computer. And so I've had it for like 7 years now, and like I use it for everything. So like the hard drive full, and I do have an external hard drive, but like people don't understand that like you need to have.
You're talking to us like none of us know about computers and how like hard drives work.
No, but anytime someone's like, but you have an external hard drive, right? And I'm like, yes, but you need to have like enough space on the actual hard drive itself for it to like save certain things before you can try to save it to an external hard drive. Anyway, I'm not an IT person, but I just know that from my personal experience. So anyway, I have like a lot of because iCloud like shares things from both like your phone to like your Mac if you have it set up that way, and I do have a lot of nudes that have been gifted to me by various men throughout my life, and a lot of like the old ones from like
mostly old
from when I was like in college, which is like really good. Like daddies would send me videos of just like themselves like in the bathroom jerking off, like whatever. Like when I was like 18, they would do anything I asked for me. So then I would just be like,
you've got videos from when you were 18.
From other men, not from myself. It's nothing of me, it's all of other people.
No, I understand that. It's just like, Nick, those are videos that are 6 years old.
No, 7 years old.
Okay,
I'm 25. I'm 25.
Even worse.
What do you mean? It's hot.
Are you watching those videos constantly?
No. I forget that I have them, and then when I like see them on my computer, I'm like, oh my god, let me go back to it, and it's like 30 seconds, and I'm like, oh, I remember that man. I remember him. It's a nice memory. It's a little scrapbook.
I am Pioneer Peru.
I'm Trailblazer Nick, and this is
Pioneers
and Trailblazers. So
anyway, to you, bitch, we've just discovered a new mental illness that Nick has. Nick is a fucking nude video hoarder.
I'm a hoarder.
I'm a cum hoarder. Title that.
I'm a hoarder in general.
You're not. I've been to your apartment.
That's what you think, girl. You haven't gone through my closet. I'm a clothing hoarder.
I've seen your closet.
I'm a clothing hoarder.
Have you seen my closet?
Yeah. Mine's honestly like mine is probably worse.
But you're not. I've seen you're not a hoarder.
Yeah, but those clothes that I have, there are clothes in my closet that I never wear, but I refuse to get rid of.
That's just everybody though. Like not everyone's refusing to delete a 30-second jerk video from somebody from 7 years ago.
I have like 3 bins back at my parents' house of like clothes that I will never wear, but I refuse to let my mom get rid of. She's just like, they have them in their basement. Like every time I go back for the holidays, they're like, so do you want to go through any of those bins and pick out what you want to keep, and then we donate the rest? And I'm like, actually, no, you can't touch anything, please. Thank you. I am just a hoarder. There's sentimental value to those nude videos, those nude jerk off videos from these older men. There's sentimental value. Let me live.
It's interfering with literally our platform and like the townspeople not being able to have a professional sounding video yet.
Okay. I thought I deleted most of them. There are only a couple that I saved. I'm like, oh, these are good videos. These are like, I'm gonna.
He had one of somebody literally doing a stretch.
That I didn't know I had actually, because there's a bunch of videos on there of like people like I have like text conversations with people, and every once in a while we'll like send videos back and forth. Not anything sexual, just like us like talking or like being funny. And like I didn't realize that those also saved to my computer.
Absolutely.
So like the last time that I did a whole computer clean out and I was deleting shit, I thought I got everything because I was like going through and I couldn't find anything under like the file, like movie file or like the MP4 file or like the whatever, the ones that are like really large, because like I have to delete those. So I didn't see those. So I don't know where they like were being hidden, but I found a bunch of videos and like pictures from a friend of mine who I no longer speak with. And I was like, actually,
what happened?
I've talked about it. I've talked about it on the pod.
Oh.
I've talked about it. For those who, I don't know what episode it is. It was like months ago, but back in like October, I think I probably like talked about it. October, November. You go back to one of those videos, you can find it. But it's a friend that I no longer speak with. And I was like, oh, we can delete those. I was like, actually, let's get rid of all of that. And now, hopefully, knock on wood, the recording works. But anyway, that's not. Let's move on to something interesting.
Well, what I do whenever I feel like I need to move on from something is so for example, if like I feel like if I've gotten hung up on somebody, like, so there's this one person, I think we've talked about this guy, wicked guy, neighborhood guy who like I kind of caught feelings for like early, like last year or whatever, like last winter. And we were like steadily having sex a lot, and like, oh my god, his dick was so good. And it was, and this is a guy who, like, did I discuss this already? He's the guy that famously did not like to use lube. Like,
I feel like you did mention this before.
Absolutely not. Like, he was like, I'm a spit guy. He's like, lube desensitizes my dick, and I feel like
I don't believe that.
Well, the thing is, like, his dick is...
That's like someone being like, oh, mama, I can't wear a condom. It's too tight. Oh.
Yeah, but that's like... Well, listen. I'm not going to say that I'm, like, dying to have sex with guys with condom. I am safely getting tested every 3 months. I am on PrEP. I got an actual prescription to Doxypep as well. For all of those townspeople who are not familiar with what... Oh, my God. By the way, this leads us into actual shout-outs real quick. But for those of you who are not aware what Doxypep is,
if you've been listening for a while, we talk about it all the time.
We talk about PrEP, but we've never talked about Doxypep as much.
I feel like we talked about it when we did our whole like PrEP, when I had my PrEP delivered, that episode.
Did we talk about Doxypep though?
I think you went on your little spiel about it.
I went on PrEP, not Doxypep. Well, whatever. Either way, Doxypep, it safely helps you if you can get a prescription for it to like prevent the most commonly known STIs. Anyway, so I got the prescription for that. So I would say that, like, I do prefer condomless sex. And
whore.
So because I like to get filled up.
I can't stand you.
Listen,
it makes me feel fish.
Oh my god,
put a baby in me.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I got on birth control, please. My ovulation. What are you doing?
I just saw that my thing wasn't plugged in. You unplugged my charger.
No, I didn't unplug it. It's just the cord is so fucking like short that it just unplugged itself. So, Mama, how about you let me finish my story? Don't interrupt me.
So I just whatever. I was trying to be helpful, but anyway, next.
Sorry, I like how Nick's like trying to clock my tech when his tech's the one with problems.
Okay, you have a broken chair. You figure that out. Fix your broken chair, bitch.
I keep trying to tell my roommate. Well, which, by the way, Cole, I don't think he's a listener, but he's definitely a supporter. My roommate Cole has come to my show and our show.
Yeah.
So definitely supports. He famously came to the Sniffy Swam, and he's like a typical, like, tall, like, like buffy, hunky, kind of like a bro. Straight, but very nice, very lovely. And he was like, yeah, but he was like, oh my God, but when the dicks were on the screen, he was like, it was hilarious.
It's like you would find dicks funny, straight man.
But he's a supporter. He's great, whatever. So I kept wanting to ask him to fix my chair. And previously I had already mentioned, and he was like, yeah, let's just take a look at it. I can just glue it or do like the like straight actual fixing of the chair. And I was like, let's just do the soonest. Let's just glue it. But then he recently got hit, like, by our car.
Oh, right.
On his bike. So, like, he's, like, like, in recovery process or whatever. Not airing his ass out, but whatever. He's not listening to this. So like, I don't want to be like, hey, I understand you have, like, a full-on body bruise. But can you please
fix my chair?
But anyway, so this guy didn't like to use lube, and like
unrelated to straight man.
Yeah, which I mean, honestly, I would. But
Okay.
Call listening. But what I would say is that like I don't necessarily feel like that's like like you know like he just like he was like I would prefer to just rim you and like prep you for a long time, so he would spend a good time in my ass, you know, just like filling it up with spit, like
Yeah.
And I know maybe Nick right now is rolling his eyes for some reason, but like I don't see a problem with that.
No, I'm not rolling my eyes. I'm like, as long, like, listen.
Like, I actually find that sexy that he just wants to spend more time like
No,
prepping
listen,
me than
like,
having to just lube it
that
up
should
and
be
stick
the
it in.
that should be the standard then. Like, if you, no, I'm just saying it should be the standard if like you just spend a lot of time down there to begin with, because girl, dicks be hurting sometimes, and you gotta warm it up, loosen it up, and like, yes, whatever, like if you only want to use lube, then by all means, or like you better be down there for like a good,
You know what?
like 10 minutes getting me loosey goosey juicy Lucy.
Goosey Lucy Juicy Goosey title that.
Juicy Lucy.
Juicy Lucy.
Wait, no.
what was gonna prompt my response to that is, let's talk about rimming.
No, juicy loosey goosey.
Parentheses the rimming episode.
How to rim.
The rimming. We did how to suck a dick. We should not do like how to rim. We should do like the rimming.
How to get rimmed.
Rimming 101. Because
How to get that whole loosey goosey
too
and
long.
juicy.
Listen, and we'll discuss at the very end of the episode, but we're trying to titillate. Although I mean, like the titles have become like natural to us at this point. Like I mean, we're nasty and funny, nasty and funny.
Oh, we?
A blurb. Wow. Anyway, rimming. I will tell you, when I first started on my gay sexual journey, I did not think rimming was hot, nor did I enjoy anybody going near my bud.
Really?
Until my ex-boyfriend, who like loved to rim, and he was like, I love to eat ass. And in my head, it's obviously comes from like preconceived like sexual notions of like, your ass is dirty, nothing's supposed to be going in your ass or your butt, like that's not an area that like anybody.
I've never thought that. Ever since I was a child, I was like, I should be shoving shit up there. Not only should shit be coming out, shit should be going in.
Well, we know shit goes out based on your latest stories.
I haven't had sex in a while, okay? But the last time I had sex, yeah, I did shit on him. What about it?
But
what about it?
But it's okay. But I will say that like it wasn't until he made me feel comfortable about getting rimmed that I was literally completely awakened to the fact that like rimming does feel good, and like there is, you know, like those little like nerves in your like, you know, whole area that like, oh excuse me, wow, I was actually just, you know, verklempt, that feel good. So like there is pleasure in rimming. Now I'm not saying that like if you're a top and you're like about to bottom someone, like about to fuck someone,
you're about to bottom somebody.
About to bottom somebody. I don't necessarily feel like, yeah, if a top's favorite thing to do is not rimming, it's just as like if maybe like a bottom's thing most favorite thing could not be like sucking dick. Does that make sense? Like I equate like someone's preferences and like what they find hot doesn't always equate as to like what needs to be done during sex. So for example, if a top doesn't want to rim you, there is another alternative, which is just like maybe like fingering you or
with lube
and also lubing, you know, like if you don't want to rim, make sure you've got lube, so like, you know, it's an easier access for the dick to go inside the hole.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, there have been plenty of guys that I've had sex with who don't rim me before they try to ram that shit into my butthole.
And that is rude. So like there are other ways to prep the butt, but like it does go without saying, like there are guys who like love sucking dick, and I don't necessarily. Yeah, and I love it too. But then I'm not like I don't need to get my dick sucked, you know.
I would like it.
And like I love to get rimmed by the top, but if the top doesn't want to rim me, as long as he's like prepping me, then I'm okay.
See, the thing is with like me getting my dick sucked, like I don't want to have to like ask, like for it to happen. Like I want the other person to want to like,
oh, to suck your dick.
Yeah, like I want them to be like,
oh really?
Like I don't want to have to be like, oh can you, like I don't want to have to ask for it. Like I want you to want me to feel good, you know what I mean? And like I get that because I am a bottom and I'm so vocal about being a bottom and like loving that so much, I do think like maybe they're just like, oh, you only really get enjoyment from your asshole. But I'm like, when people ask me what I'm into, I say oral, but I never specify just giving or just receiving. I just mean it all around.
Oh, my pre-saved Grinder thing.
Well, I don't have it pre-saved, but
I have one pre-save because everyone seems to have a pre-save. If you're on Grindr and you have a pre-save, like shout it out like in the comments because like everyone be having a pre-save, and I'm like, oh, I had no idea we couldn't just be organic with what I liked, but like no, it's like, what are you into? And like within 2 seconds,
it's like a whole paragraph. Sometimes it's an essay.
Yeah, sometimes
and I'm like reading that, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, I didn't realize I was gonna audition for a part. Like I didn't realize like I was gonna have to do.
It's a character description.
No, like
it's
I literally
like, gay person. Mid-20s must enjoy.
No, and there's like a script that I have to follow, and it's like, oh my god, girl, I'm not even gonna get paid for this.
Yeah, I like getting called daddy while I'm fingering your hole, and then I have my fucking other fist inside your mouth. And
no, it's like a whole thing, and then it's like, girl, I just like read your smut. Like I don't need to like now. I don't need to have sex with you because it's just like, girl, we get it, we get the image. I'm not into it.
I know, but sometimes like I do like. With like people that I know I'm not going to be having sex with, I just like try to get as much as from them as possible. It's like I just like get, you know, like.
Oh, so you're just trying to scam them?
I mean, not scam, but just like be like, okay, like we're just going like see.
Well, because there's like some people where it's like I know that I'm not gonna fuck them like then and there, or like maybe even this week, or probably not even next week.
Yeah, but they really want it.
But they really want it. But it's like, well, maybe one day if I'm like, if I'm feeling real, just like.
Yeah,
we're like,
and I mean, listen, are there like vid collectors and like pic collectors out there? Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying I'm a pic and vid collector, but like, I feel like Grindr has, or like any like sex app has moved on from like being just.
Well, all the
like,
apps now.
It's not just to have sex, as we've discussed, but like somebody can find pleasure just in the exchange.
But also speaking on that, all of these apps now are like copying sniffies and having their own like map like based little thing. Like I opened Scruff for the first time in like over a month. Girl, they got one now too.
I know. Listen, okay. Actually, put a pin on that. Let's finish rimming really quickly.
Oh,
but no, because then tell me, like, you're saying you prefer to get your dick sucked more than like you are requiring the top to lick your ass.
No. What I'm saying is, well, you said that you don't care about getting your dick sucked. I'm like, I would love it on I want my ass eaten and I want my dick sucked.
No, well, this all stemmed from you being like not the biggest fan of like this guy being like, I don't use lube. I just like to, you know, like fuck with spit.
I'm just saying what I'm into.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if this guy were to tell you that,
I'm just because you said that you didn't care, and I was like, well, I would prefer. I mean, if I'm gonna suck his dick, return the favor.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, he would suck my dick sometimes. I'm saying he just did not want to use lube.
Right, but then the conversation then shifted and evolved. Mama.
Yeah, I know.
I moved into a different situation, but okay.
But how do we get to that? Oh, because he caught feelings for him, and then famously took me to see Wicked. And I thought that was like a big step in our like relationship as like just.
Did he pay for the ticket?
We went to go get because he has seen Wicked like 27 million times. Like he's a big Wicked fan.
Okay, that's crazy.
I know. Like I'm sure like now with the movie coming out, he's just literally obsessed with it.
Did you see those photos?
What?
Did you see the Vanity Fair photos that came out today?
Yeah, they're cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see they're gonna be singing live?
They're singing live.
They didn't get in the booth to record the songs. They sing them live on set.
Oh wow!
And
I mean, they're both singing powerhouses.
The Les Mis print. The Tom Hooper print. Ooh.
Except Tom Hooper cast like non-singers too, and as you know,
well,
Miss Russell Crowe singing in Les Mis live, girl. That was a choice.
I mean, it's a choice, but I honestly didn't hate it. Do you know I saw that movie on my birthday in 8th grade, and I had to beg my friends to let me go with them.
From rimming to Les Mis.
Well,
wow.
It just reminded me because it was 8th grade and it was my birthday and I had no plans, and then 2 of my friends were gonna go see Les Mis, and I was like, oh. What's that? Because I didn't know what it was. And then they were like, oh, it's like a movie version of this musical, Les Mis. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. It's my birthday. To get them to invite me, and they didn't. Then I had to invite myself.
Oh, no.
And then I went and I lived. I sobbed my eyes out. I was like, this. I literally, like, my mom picked me up and I was like, I'm a changed person. And, like, I literally could not stop crying. Anne Hathaway, mama, I dreamed a dream. She dreamed a dream and she died.
She gave it up on that dream. That was a dream. What dream for Anne Hathaway was to sing
that was kind of song. Like my inspo though when I was in my buzz cut era was Anne Hathaway and Les Mis.
It looked like a
skinny, malnourished. Ooh.
Oh, I thought you meant like the like weirdly cut hair.
The buzz cut that I did myself. Yeah, that too.
That
Ooh.
Wait, so this guy he like had already cooked for me, invited me over to cook, to like have food and just watch something and then fuck. But then like he would do all these like things that would be above hooking up, and then famously was like, let's go get like let's go to the raffle or whatever for Wicked. And then we got in. We both got tickets. He cried during Wicked. It was like his like 17th million time watching it.
I probably cried too.
He held my hand during the entire show. He reached out for my hand. So when you reach out for somebody's hand watching Wicked while you're crying, to me, that means like, oh, you're into me.
Or it could just mean that you're a faggot.
But he held my hand.
Maybe because he was just like so overwhelmed. He's just like...
Oh, it wasn't even this kind of hold. It was the kind of hand holding where it's like this. And like this is how he held my hand. Visual learners, you're watching. If somebody holds your hand like this in public, this is romance. This is romance.
It's with the fingers interlaced for those who are listening.
And so
I have a similar story, but I'll tell it when you're done.
Well, and so after that, I remember being like, hey, like we moved on. I think I already said this part though. Like we moved on from like, I was like, hey, like I keep getting tested regularly, but like how about we don't fuck other people, it's just fuck each other. And then he was cool with that. But then right before the holidays, when I was just like, hey, like what's the situation, like are we just like,
what's the tea,
we
sis?
Like, exclusively hanging out now? And that's when he just like, and then he, I think, had a mental breakdown. And then like I heard from him just like a couple months ago, when I was like liking or loving or like dirty videos that we had sent each other, and I was like thinking about you. And then he was like, sorry, I took a break from sex, I'm trying to reevaluate who I am as a person. And I was like, wow,
me right now.
I was like, damn, I really made him think about his life.
He's like, actually, I don't think I need to have sex ever again. Yeah. He's like, I'm good, actually, I'm gonna be celibate now.
So anyway, I think that person's over. But anyway, that was Remy.
No, that just reminds me, I had a similar situation with this guy who it was right after my friend that I mentioned earlier, who I no longer speak with. It was right after we kind of had like the ending of that relationship, whatever. So I was very emotionally vulnerable, and I met this guy on Hinge.
So a typical week.
No, literally, at my lowest. And I met this guy, and I had been talking to this guy on Hinge for a little bit, and then I had thing happen with my friend, and like literally the next day, he was like trying to like hang out, and I was like, just gonna be upfront. I was like, hey, listen, like you seem really nice, you seem really cool, but I just had like a really overwhelming like emotional like thing happen. I don't think I'm like really in a place to like go on a date with anybody or whatever. He was like, no, that's fine, I could just like come over, we could hang out. And I was like, okay, I just wanted to be held. And so then this guy came over to my apartment. He was like, wasn't really my type, and he was my age though, and he was like funny. We had like very similar senses of humor, and he was cute, but just was like a huge partier, and like that's completely opposite from who I am as a person. And so he came over to my place, like we hung out, just like watched a movie in my bed and just like cuddled and like made out, and then he left, and I was like, oh great, like that was so nice. And then the next day he invited me over to his apartment because he worked from home, and he was like, oh, I'm at my place, like if you just like want to come over, we could like hang out or whatever. And I was like, sure. So I didn't work that day, so I like went to his apartment, hung out with him while he like worked on his computer, and then afterwards I sucked his dick, and then I sucked his dick so good he came, and then he was acting so surprised that like he finished, and I was like, oh, what's the tea? And he was like, oh, like I'm on antidepressants, so like it's really hard for me to finish, like I normally don't when I hook up with somebody. He's like, so this is like the first time in months I've been able to come with another person. And I was like, okay, my skills are so good. And then I made a joke about it on TikTok, went viral. He sent me the TikTok and he said, is this about me? And I said, I was like, yeah. And then he was like, oh, haha, so funny. Anyway, cut to, we were hanging out. He'd come over to my apartment like every other night after he'd go out with like his friends. He'd be high as fuck on coke. He'd come to my apartment.
On coke?
Yes, he loved him some coke. So he would like come to my apartment. He'd be like all like ready to go, just like drunk and just like on one. And then
which is crazy because when you're on coke, it's famously harder for you to get hard.
Oh, well, see, we wouldn't hook up. Like, he would come to my apartment. We'd make out. There was one time, because, like, my roommate at the time basically didn't spend, like, the winters in New York. She, like, went back home to California. So I basically had the whole apartment to myself. And so there was one night he came over, and he literally threw me on my kitchen counter and was, like, making out with me. My legs were, like, wrapped around him. We were, like, grinding, like, in the kitchen. It was, like, one of the hottest things that ever happened. And then, but he had, like, I think he had done coke or whatever. He like snorted it or whatever before he got to my place, and then he must have like rubbed it on his gums or whatever. So then because then when we were making out, my mouth went numb.
Oh,
and then I was like,
Nick!
and I was like, oh, I don't really like how that feels. And then we would like move to my bedroom, and then we like stay up really late, and then like hang out, chat, whatever. And then like we never had full sex. Like we would always just kind of like make out and stuff.
Yeah, he's like, so I would just be hyper and just stay up. Meanwhile, you're like literally like secondhand coke. You're just like up.
Well,
to,
no,
like,
and I'm like tired, but like his dick was so pretty. I wanted him to fuck me so bad, and he kept being like, oh, I'm gonna fuck you so good, but then we just would never fuck. And then anyway, he'd sleep over all the time. We'd like have little sleepovers. We then took things to the next level by going to go see Spencer together in theaters.
Oh my God.
Miss Kristen Stewart, Academy Award winner.
Or
Academy Award nominee.
Girl, fake news.
Sorry. We went and saw Spencer together. And it was like, and I was like, oh, like, I think he's, at the time though, I was like, oh, I don't think he's like dating material or like marriage material or anything. Like, I was just like, this is fun. Like, let's just do this for the time being. Like, whatever. Like, no pressure. It's just like friendly, but like we hook up every now and again and like make out. I was like, I don't need him to be like my life partner. We saw Spencer together. Same thing. Held my hand during the movie. Like we were in the recliners, whole thing. A couple days later, he was supposed to come over to my apartment after work. He was going to come over. He was going to spend the night. We were going to hang out. And I said, great. That night rolls around. I'm home from work. He was going to come over. I texted him just like, hey, like, just let you know I'm home. Like, let me know when you're on your way. Doesn't respond for like 2 days. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, I sent a follow-up and be like, hey, just checking in. Like, hope you're okay. Because like, he was supposed to come over and just never said anything. Like, we had like solid plans. And so then I was like, oh, so strange. And then he finally responded. He sent me basically an essay to be like, hey, like, I'm just not in the place right now to like commit to anything serious, whatever. Like, basically like breaking up with me, even though we were never together. And the whole time I was reading this being like, bitch, I don't want to date you either. Like, I literally just like, it was just nice to hang out and like make out with somebody and like be friendly. I was like, I don't want to date you. And I was like, oh, okay, note taken. Great. And then he like unfollowed me on like everything. And I was like, oh damn, I didn't realize it was like that serious.
Well, I mean, both of us are people that like, we've said this time and time again, like I'm able to separate sex and like romance.
Depends on the person.
Because then like once I start feeling romance, then I wanna focus on that. You know, like, so I can't necessarily say that like right now I could fully engage with like well, see, that's tricky. It's a tricky question. Could I just cuddle with somebody and like make out here and there and like no, because like I would rather than just like, if I'm gonna do that, then like let's just fuck and like be friends with benefits, you know, friends who just fuck occasionally. But right. I don't want to go like, oh, like you're saying like, I just like for you to come over, we cuddle and then we talk and then go to the movies and hold hands. Like to me, it's just like, oh, like that's legitimately like a date. Well, the thing like was a romantic. Well, the thing was gestures. I can't take romantic gestures as a kink, which is so funny because like Robert, hi Robert, recently sent me a TikTok video which is just like that. Matt Rogers online was talking about like his kink for like I love you kink. I don't know if you saw that clip.
I haven't seen it, but I know people who.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, like I understand that, but like to me, anything that happens in bed, I'll tolerate, and I love you. I'll tolerate like whatever, like oh my god, you're the best thing I've ever had. Like anything that resembles that kink outside of the bedroom, inappropriate for me. Like not part of sex rituals. Like any of that outside via text. If you're like DMing me or talking to me or doing that kind of thing, then in that scenario, then I'm taking that as a hint of like attempt at romance. I'm not taking it as just your kink to like have sex with me.
Sure. Well, the thing that was so interesting to me was like I thought we both were on the same page. Like it seemed very clear that like we were not each other's type and like would never make it in a long-term manner.
But then why were you engaging and going to Spencer and holding hands with him?
Well, that I wasn't expecting the hand holding. Like we made the plans to go see the movie. Like I was like gonna go see it, and he was like, I can't remember if I offered like I was like, oh, if you want to come, you're more than welcome to. Like, it wasn't like me being like, oh, do you want to come with me? Like, whatever. And then he was like, sure. And then he grabbed my hand. And then after that happened, I remember thinking to myself, okay, I have to be a little bit more conscious of like the behavior outside of like us just like hanging out at my place or whatever. But then he hit me with that essay like literally like a week later, and I was like, oh, I'm so I thought I was gonna be the one that was gonna have to do it. I was like, fuck, he beat me to it. I was like, god damn it, he thinks I care about it more than I do. And I was like, shut up, no I don't. But no, he's very sweet, he's very nice. I mean,
which is why I've gotten into the habit now, as you know from like our personal conversations, like there have been certain instances of people like wanting to hang out with me or like wanting to do stuff, like if they're like DMing me or like trying to like hang out, and I'm like, okay, I need clarity when you're like showing interest in me.
What? Oh, okay. Like we haven't talked about that in a minute. What's the tea on that? Well, we can talk about it off pod.
We can talk about it, but I mean, listen, generally speaking, if you're like making a move of any kind towards me, I now have developed this thing where I'm like, I'm going to flat out ask you, like, what is this about?
What is your intention?
If your thing is like, oh, because, you know, all of the times, you know, you got to do your research and development when people be hitting you up. You're like, okay, you stalk the grid, you stalk the socials, you fucking like Google reverse their name.
Well, really, people aren't hitting me up in the way that they're hitting you up, so I really don't be doing that.
No, but you do be doing that when they do. A girl, Miss Nick here. If you ever give Miss Nick your phone number, just be rest assured she fucking did a Google reverse that search on your fucking number.
100%. I've said that before, and I'll say it again to the end of time. I will be Googling so I can get a full legal name.
Which I don't, and that's fine with me. But I will be going like I'll do a social media excavation to figure out what the vibe is. And sometimes a lot of these people be like flirty and whatever, and then like I look at their profile and that they're like married or like in relationships, or like, I mean, the most common one, they don't live in New York City, which is fine. Like that one's easiest.
But it's always the bitches in a relationship that are the most flirty.
Yeah, but I mean, again, to me,
red flag.
Not a red flag for me, but you just gotta set the expectation or the tone from the get-go. It's like, I would much rather you like hit me up and be like, hey, you know, like whatever, strike up a conversation, be like, hey, listen, you know, like I think you're cute, I'm in an open relationship, if you ever want to have fun, you know, like let's hang out. But a lot of the things that I've been getting lately is just been like, oh my god, you know, like let's do this, let's do that, or like constant communication and constant engagement, but then there's no clarity as to what you're trying to pursue. And so then I did my own research, and so then I actually know what the context is. So then I'm gonna ask you, like, hey, just so I know, like, are you interested in going on a date? I see you maybe in a relationship, so like, are you not, or are you, or like, what's the tea? So like, I just want more clarity with people from the get-go, because I want to show up and know what my role is going to be. Is my role to like be like the hot slut, you know, like the sexy bottom as I am? Or is my role like...
I'm sorry, is the sexy bottom in the room with us? Wait, I'm sorry, where?
Paige, the sexy bottom. Wait,
sorry. You can come to set now. Where is he? I don't know.
But if I feel like I'm like getting flirty vibes and more like cutesy vibes, and like I want to know if I'm gonna present myself in that way, you know, because like I don't automatically want to jump into like me sharing a nude of me in like a hotel in DC. Like I want to be like approach it with a sense of like more like flirtatiousness, or like more, you know, like sensual, less sexual, unless you're like, hey, I want to fuck you. Like a lot of people are like, hey, I want to fucking fill your hole, and I'm like, okay, here's a hole, like show me your dick, you know, like let's fucking play.
Here's the hole, what are you gonna fill it with, babe?
Exactly, like I'm down to
cement.
Play. What?
Cement.
So yeah, please.
They're like, we need to stop. Like, you need to stop, babe.
But so that's the tea with like getting mixed signals. Like I want full on clarity. Like, hey, like let me take you on a date. Hey, let me fill your ass with cum.
That's the problem.
Hey, I want to be friends. I live in the same city in New York. Let's hang out. Or like, hey, I'm a fan. I think you're cool. Which, if that's the case, I mean, I'm all for talking to people online. That's really cute. That's not to say I'm at a place right now where I'm actively really looking for new friends. And that's not me trying to be mean. I feel like that's safe to say that like I am working on a show. I, have friends already that I have commitments with.
I have friends already. I don't need new ones.
No. Listen.
No, but me too.
But let's have an honest conversation about that. Like, sometimes you're just not in a place to, like, because also as a friend, like, I give my all as a friend, and I give my all to have.
What song is that?
Just one more night with you. I risk my life.
What are you singing?
To see your body next to mine, 'cause I can't go on.
I'm sorry, are you going to tell me what song this is? Or are you going to force us to listen to the entire thing? Listeners, I'm so sorry. They probably don't know that song either. What is it? Hello?
Tonight.
Oh my god.
I risk my all.
Okay. What's up?
For your love. Tonight.
Okay, and I'm sorry, what song is this?
I am not gonna say who the artist is, or who the song is. Please. That's gonna be the poll on Spotify. Did you know what song Peru was singing? Yes or no? And if you're a visual learner, come on YouTube, comment if you know the song that I'm singing.
I'm sorry, no one is gonna know that.
Well, maybe not, because I'm definitely butchering it, but it is a very famous song.
From what era?
From the late 90s. It's a well-known ballad. It's like the one song that people sing. It's like either Whitney Houston's "I Have Nothing" or this other artist. Like everyone on The Voice like does to like get people to chair.
Is it a woman or man that sings it?
It's a woman, and that's do not mention names. It's a woman, and it's a pop ballad that people sing on The Voice and American Idol and The X Factor. It's one of those that's like a hard song to sing.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know why I chose that one.
Okay, but anyway, what were we talking about?
No, but I do give my all on friendships and in relationships and in fuck sessions. Like, I'm a very committed person. I'm an Aries, so like I want to do everything the best. So, if you're engaging with me, I just want to know what you're trying to pursue. I just give me clarity. Just give me clarity. That's all. Don't be like coy or just be like, I don't know, the vibe is this, and like maybe just feel like you're cool. Maybe we should do this. And I am in an open relationship, but like it would be nice to like get to know. I'm like, just tell me, do you want to fuck me, or do you want to like befriend me, or do you want to like potentially be in a relationship?
I have that problem.
Are you poly? What's happening?
I have that problem less online and more so in person, like with people.
Because of your own Delulu.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this weekend?
No, we don't talk about this weekend, but
I mean, we do have a very busy social calendar weekend, and I'll say that much.
No, yeah. But my problem and what I've come up against time and time again is I have a hard time deciphering whether or not someone is just being friendly with me when they're talking to me in person, or if they're being flirtatious. And I seem to miss when they're being flirtatious, and I'm like, oh, they're just being friendly. And then when they're just being friendly, I'm like, oh, they're being flirtatious.
Yeah, you definitely have that disease. You yeah. And it is, ever since I've known you, that really has been the common denominator.
But it's, what? It's a good thing that I'm aware of it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Recently, somebody at work came to say hi to Nick, and literally when that person left, Nick was like, "Oh my god, they're obsessed with me." Just
and they were.
Okay.
You're just a hater.
I'm not a hater.
You just hate queer love.
I mean, I'm looking for queer love. We start crying.
No, that's why I'm in my celibacy.
Oh my god, that's the thumbnail. You know what we never do? People on YouTube are always being like, post for the thumbnails, which we never do.
No, we
Should
just
we post for a thumbnail?
Which would be what?
Like us crying.
Okay, there we go.
Everyone's always going like this. They're like,
yeah, but that's like really kind of cringe to me.
Like, should we do a cringe thumbnail?
No, what's
like the one where like people are, I think, shocked, like, ugh. Okay, I'm gonna point at you and you act like you're like so shocked, and I'm gonna point towards you, like, look at him, he's crazy. Okay, but come into the bed.
Okay, fine.
You know when they go like, when they're like, what, and then the other person's just like, we should do that.
Okay,
all right.
3, 2, 1. Okay, screenshot. I guess that's for editor me.
That wasn't. Wow, you didn't commit. But
I did. What the fuck? I committed. Anyway, I'm in my celibacy era because I want to be so madly, deeply in love. I haven't had sex since the old 71-year-old. For those who've been listening since then,
listen. You could. There is a high potential of you having sex on Friday night, which we have a very packed evening. But
the thing is,
Miss
like,
Nick is making a commitment for something else.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I also like It's not that I don't want. It's not that I don't want to have sex. It's just that I know the kind of sex that I want to have that I would not be having if I were just to hook up with some rando.
I think you want to have passionate sex. Is that what you're saying? You want to have like lovey-dovey sex right now?
Yeah, and I want someone that's.
You don't want to get pounded out.
No, and I want to have sex with someone who like genuinely cares about me as a person, and then like spends the night and like holds me in bed.
In a weird way, I kind of do relate with that. I feel like right now, while getting a pounding is always.
Well, also
good.
I've just been having like weird fiber issues. Like it's been like the last time I had sex, girl.
Want to take some of my fiber?
Mudslide.
Want to take some of my?
Well, I'm not gonna just take it once. It's not gonna like completely.
No, just like get you kickstarted. You know.
I guess I just have to. I have to order.
But I do feel like I've been craving having sex followed by like let's do something. You know, like I've been really like I kind of just want to like have sex and like sleep over at someone's place that like maybe like they're fun and like wake up like have breakfast or like just have sex and like go out and like grab a drink or something like that. Like I don't know, you know, like it's been hyper transactional lately, which again I am totally cool with. But I'm also like my birthday's approaching. I am in this Aries season. Just so y'all know, my birthday's April 1st. I expect a lot of pornography being sent my way by the townspeople. Because I mean, your birthday occurred
in January.
Well, I know. And you know, we did what we could.
I had a good time.
For you. You had a great time.
I had a good time.
I'm throwing a big party, which I guess I'll talk about for anyone who's in New York City. I'll promote it here on the pod too, I guess. But it'll be an open invite kind of thing. So it should be fun. That might be a good occasion to meet some townspeople who live in New York City too. So stay tuned because I will be announcing a birthday party I am throwing.
They come with pitchforks and torches.
They come and be like, actually, they come to cancel me.
No, they try to overthrow.
Oh no! Oh my god! A coup!
Yeah.
Oh my god! An insurrection at my birthday party.
Could you imagine?
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Is it on April 6th too?
It.
It's the new January 6th.
You just spoiled the date, but it's fine. It will be happening April 6th.
Well, I'm just saying I'm making the connection to the insurrection.
It is January 6th, April 6th. It's an angel number almost.
6 1 more 6. Scroll. The devil.
The devil. Another thumbnail.
So stupid.
Wait, do you want to continue talking about the app situation? Because I have seen that too. Like now, every app is jumping on the bandwagon to be like, every app is now. Every single fucking hookup app or like gay dating app that was like supposed to be like the different one, like we're different, we verify, we don't do this, we don't do that. Like every single dating app now or it's just a hookup app now. It's like no, we're a dating app, but from this time to this time, we'll open up the map.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the thing. It's like it's this. I mean, this happens with anything. Like you have one successful like venture or like something like comes onto the market or something is made or whatever that's like groundbreaking, new, fresh, everyone's so excited to use it, then all these other bitches who've been around the block that are trying to keep their users or try to keep, you know, people's interest or whatever, and they
also,
start copying.
Yeah, I need to make an amends too really quickly. When I said pornography, I didn't mean like I said nudes and adult content being sent from adults. Okay. I wanna amend the use of the word pornography because legally speaking, I do not want to receive anything that is not coming from an adult source. So just
thank you for the clarification, Mama.
Sorry, I love to receive nudes and videos of people's dicks.
Okay, so anyway, I just like that's how it goes for like literally any industry. Like I see it all the time happen with like TikTok. Like someone will come out onto the scene and they'll have a new fresh take or something in terms of like the content that they create, and then it gets really popular, and then everybody starts copying it because they know it's this is what people like.
But that's the thing. So like, is that damaging to our culture? Because clearly, what they're noticing, every single one of these like queer apps, what they're noticing is that the demand is just to have like another hookup app. Like,
I do like
one's beyond Hinge. No one's really doing
Tinder too.
Tinder's just like it's just like Candy Crush at this point.
I guess
Tinder's the Candy Crush of just
but
dating.
I do think it is interesting. Like I mean, for me personally, I'm just like, be original. I'm like, it's so very clear that what you're just trying to copy and like ride this wave or whatever, and it's never gonna be as good as the original.
Of course not. So like, you gotta give props to the original, but at the same time, it's like, Nick, what do you consider original? What is the original idea? Men are just either trying to fuck or trying to find a man. So like, no, but what is the original idea?
But I'm saying is like, it's very clear. Like, for example, like if we're comparing Sniffies to these other apps that are like copying Sniffies, particularly by doing like these map grids with like little circular profiles that are supposed to be a little bit more anonymous and more instant. It is very like clear like what they're trying to do, and like Sniffies has way more users than these like newer versions of like these apps are like trying to do their beta versions of whatever. And so it's like I do obviously, like when I see that an app has that or offers it, I do click to look, but like the amount of people that use that version is so limited to like the original, and also it's like a lot of crossover, so it's like it's the same people that are on Sniffies are going to be on this thing, so it's like just do the original. It's like how I feel about like Grindr, like all these like Grindr versions of Grindr that like came out when like Grindr, you know, which has like stayed around since the beginning of time. Like they're just trying to copy.
Well, I guess the only one that kind of defined itself as perhaps of a different market was Scruff. Because Scruff, yes, it does have pretty much basically the same people as Grindr, but then Scruff's whole thing was like it's less clean cut and more like
and they all
what we're going to say like hairy bear or more
and like what I liked about Scruff at the beginning, and this has changed because Grindr has stolen some stuff or like has taken some things from Scruff that they had originally, like the whole album thing that was a Scruff thing for like years, and Grindr you just had to send individual photos for like the longest time. So now you can send albums on Grindr or like whatever. So there's like that, which is like different. And like the whole point of Scruff is like it's a lot of like it's you typically older hairy berry kind of like men and like the people that are like attracted to them. So it's like less, it's a little bit more
less us.
No, I'm fully, well, no, and then no one wants a twink on there. Like I'm like, where are the bears that like twinks? They're nowhere to be found.
You're like, hey girls,
and I'm like, wait, hi. They don't respond. They look at my, and then they like, oh, and also like they had the thing where you can see who like looked at your profile last, and like they had that before Grindr did. So like they all are like taking from each other or whatever. So at this point, it's just like, girl.
And I guess also like maybe the smaller apps or the competing apps, like on Grindr, I see more and more now like people who want to do collabs. Like now everything's about collabing. Everyone's an OnlyFans creator, and again, no shade to them. I'm an OnlyFans supporter, but it is funny because like now, just as in anything with capitalism and with hustle culture, it's just like, of course this has infiltrated even gay queer culture. It's like now we even go on sex apps or hookup apps, whatever you want to call them, whatever is the correct way to name them, and then be like, okay, I'm there to find me, an individual, a private citizen, you know, I want to have and of course, like 30% of the accounts is just like, hey, check my Twitter link for more vids, like check my this for all my information.
Oh, and trust and believe I am clicking that link and I am watching their videos.
Absolutely, and getting that free content, because then I'm like, okay, then I guess I'm just not. And sometimes I do hit them up, and on occasion it's just like, yeah, you got a page. And I'm like, oh, actually, I just want to fuck. Like,
they're like, can we record? Only fuck if we record.
There is this one person that like actually has become a little bit into me. That like at first I wanted to fuck with him, and then he like was like engaging with me. But then he told me like a lot of these people on these like hookup apps like have host groups, and like they have their own email addresses and like Google Drives and shit. Do you know about this?
I know about the groups on Sniffies, not on Grindr.
Oh, no, just like more like just like actual groups, like communities. Like they have like their own email, they have their own Google form you have to fill out. Like you have to like it's a whole thing.
Never seen that before.
Oh, it's a whole thing. And so
I also haven't been on Grindr in like 2 weeks. So
there's hosts of these that like recruit or like find people who they think are hot. So they're like every second Tuesday we host a group at this address, and like we usually have like, you know, like
actually I do know what you're talking about, and I actually have not been invited to one since I was in college.
Oh, well, this one recent I didn't didn't realize he was recruiting, and he was like, yeah, like we see you're cute, whatever. Like we usually have like 4 bottoms and like 6 tops or whatever. So like I was like, and like I got this whole formularium and thing, and I was like, I'm not really into that, like whatever. But then at one point I was like, well, me being so funny, I was like, well, if you just want to fuck one-on-one, like, I'll be down for that too. Like, and he was like, sure. But then he never like said anything. So I was like, all right, he's just trying to like get people for his group, which is cool. Enjoy the hustle. But then ever since I didn't like follow up, and now he just keeps messaging. And I'm like, oh, I believe that, in Joe Biden's America, the situation's been rough all around. Because I guess maybe you're like struggling to find a bottom. Is that what's happening? Or like what's
or maybe
happening?
he just likes, maybe he's so used to people just wanting to fuck him because he is an OnlyFans creator, and he is like, he just put himself out there, and maybe that is a fetish that a lot of people have. And so maybe the fact that you weren't chasing, he was like, wait, I like that.
And like, getting the tap.
He's different. She's different
every other day, and I'll be like, oh,
me with. I'm not chasing, and that's why he keeps coming back.
Oh, girl, you be chasing Tina, girl.
I don't be chasing.
You're
he's
the one that Delulu chaser.
He's the one that be coming up to me. He coming up to me in public places, being like, "Hey."
Sure. Anyway, but whatever. I mean, I guess this is also like to say like whatever app you use or you don't use. Like, I mean, everyone's the whole thing has just become like another space for like promoting businesses and promoting like fucking content creation or whatever.
That's why you will never find love on a dating app, because they have everyone that you could possibly be compatible with behind a fucking paywall.
I don't fucking get it. Do you remember this? There used to be this one app called Chappie that like,
oh my god, yeah, she did.
Remember Chappie died quickly, but then it was like, I actually like talking about innovative. That was kind of new at the time when Chappie was like, oh, like you can be in the mood for a relationship or you can be in the mood for sex. And at first it was like, oh, this is kind of cute. But then like ultimately it was just like everyone was just like
in college there was a guy who was an intern that lived in my dorm. He was an intern for Chappie, and I remember he hit me up on Grindr, and he was like, hey, he was like, we're filming some like video for like their Instagram or whatever. He's like, would you want to pretend to be my boyfriend for it? And he was so hot. And I was like, oh my god, I would. And like I see him every now and again on Twitter.
Why didn't you?
Because I was like, that's weird, I can't, I'm sorry.
Oh,
and it was unpaid too. I was like, girl, I'm not gonna do this for free. And also I was also like, I don't just want to film content with you. Like, I want you to want to fuck me.
Yeah, but that could have been a great segue to like you showing your charm and being like, yeah, and then being like, hey, we kind of clicked. We kind of clicked in that video.
No, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have been too awkward. But I see him on Twitter every now and again because he's like pretty big on Twitter, not for like content creation in that regard,
or like resharing shit, whatever. Like
no, he's just like a like, I don't know, he's hot and he like posts shirtless photos every now and again, and he's like kind of funny online. So people,
I hate that and I've already said this, but like honestly, the fucking like what's it called, the rubric or whatever, the requirements for anybody on fucking Twitter is just like, oh, you have a 6-pack or a 4-pack and you like said one thing that's kind of funny every fucking week or
that's
so.
reflecting on the culture, if we're being completely honest, because they're the ones who are following based off of that one shirtless photo.
I know, and it's just so upset. And I once again, a reminder.
No, there's anything wrong with that. You're beautiful, girl.
You're beautiful.
Embrace your body.
Yeah, but own that. Like what? Guess what? If you're cute and sexy and you're funny, great. You could be a comedian. If you have a 6-pack, I absolutely. If you have muscles and a 6-pack, I am sorry, you are not a comedian. Or I'm actually gonna say this: if you have muscles and you have a 6-pack, you are not that funny. People just think you're hot, so they're just laughing at the things you're saying more than they would if you weren't as attractive. And I am saying
jealousy popped out.
And it's not this jealousy. It's just a matter of fact, the roots of like what make things funny and like an unbiased opinion, like that guy Matt Rife or whatever, who honestly he can go suck a dick.
He's straight.
But the thing is, like, it should be applied for gay culture too. If anything, it should be more applied to gay culture because we're more hyper fixated on just bodies and looks. Like, okay, if all this fucking like straight woman from middle America are gonna be fucking crushing on this guy who's like not even that funny because he's hot, then we should be acknowledging the fact that a lot of these other comedians who are blowing up or like became so popular is because every single fucking gay person out there just wants to think that they're funny because they want to fuck them.
Yeah, but I can like, Yeah, but like I can count on like my one hand like the comedians who are like big or like whatever that are conventionally attractive with like six packs and things. Like, to be quite honest, like
yeah, but Nick, okay,
the
but
things that like I mean, it doesn't seem like there are that many. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a certain like
no, I'll disagree because okay, if you can, we're not gonna name names, but if you can think of like, okay, right now, anybody who's watching or is listening to this, think of the most popular like 3 gay comedians you can think of, male. Let's talk about just men for now, just for the purposes of this analysis. Think of 3. Those 3 are probably hot and have good bodies. It's just the case. That's just the case.
no.
Depending on also on like what you're consuming and the generational gap, because we're talking about gay men. I'm not talking about like queer personalities. Like, if we're talking about queer people like as a whole, then maybe the list can broaden. But you best believe that even if you broaden it from 3, if you make that the top, maybe just top 10 most successful like gay comedians out there, you best believe that like half of those are gonna be hot gay guys.
Yeah, but I also feel like the ones that are like hot and unfunny, they don't make it that far. Like, yes, they're successful online because they get views and like whatever. But
that's the metric nowadays.
No, but like, but even in like the actual professional world, like they're not really like for example, the one that we were talking about earlier, whose name we're cutting. He's just on YouTube, girl.
I know, no, but
he posts his little YouTube videos.
I get it, and listen,
and that's pretty much probably all he will ever do.
Yes, and I understand that, but let's analyze this. Here we are as 2 creators, right? Like, trying to, I mean, let's just be honest with the townspeople, you know, trying to make a living out of what we like to do, right? So, like, while we're also being analytical as to like how much their quote unquote talent can get them in media, right? We're being like, well, they're only doing this. On the flip side, they found a market in which like they're being called a comedian or whatever, a funny person, and based on their looks and their sex appeal to the gay culture, they've been able to carve out a market in which they're literally making a living out of this, out of touring and out of making YouTube videos. And so now, are we saying that we want to do that? Absolutely
not. That's what I'm saying. It's you have to ask yourself what it is that you want to be doing. I don't want to be doing that, so I don't either. And also, comparison is the thief of joy to begin with. But like, I would never.
You were just sharing this yesterday when you saw the announcement on social media of a certain someone who got a development deal, and then you're. That's
a different comparison, because I'm not saying that person got what they got because of.
I'm just saying, you're saying jealous is we're acknowledging that like we do get jealous sometimes.
Sure, and I admitted that. I said, I was like, oh, I am jealous of this person, like, or whatever. But and as soon as I admitted that to myself, I was like, okay, I feel better about it. And also, I'm like, but the fact of the matter is like, in this instance, I don't ever compare myself to those kinds of comedians, the ones that we're talking about that are like conventionally attractive and like, unfortunately, just like not very funny and just very like surface level. And their jokes are like, I'm a top, ooh, or like bottoms be like, ooh. Like, I don't think that's funny. I don't think that's groundbreaking. I don't think that's boundary pushing.
Also, I understand the specific work that is to do stand-up, and to refer to it as stand-up specifically, just the art of stand-up and what it goes into, you know, like building your like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the structure of all that, I also understand. It's not any type of comedy that I am interested into. You know, storytelling for me is the most like impactful to me and what appeals me the most, and off the cuff improvisational comedy, like all those things for me are what appeals to me. And also, ultimately, as a performer, I am developing like a 1-person show right now, which I'll announce here soon. And like that's more of like the progression that I see myself pursuing.
Yeah, well, and that's why I never like I was saying, I don't ever compare myself to those kinds of people, because the work that they're making is not the kind of work that I want to be doing. Yeah. And the first part, and it's like, and I'm happy for them if that's the career that they want and that makes them happy and that's what they want to do. Like, I think of like, and this happened to me a lot when I was doing TikTok more consistently. Like, I really don't do that often anymore. Like, every couple of months, if I feel like it, I'll make a video. But like, when I was actively pursuing it, it was just like you're constantly being surrounded by those types of people and whatever, and that's to be like a social media comedian and influencer or whatever. It's like you have to kind of keep everybody's attention, whether by being attractive, being funny, being kind of like this well-rounded image of a person, which is really exhausting, takes a lot of work, not something that I want to do. And also, you have to appeal to a much broader market that's not the kind of thing that I want to be doing in the first place. I much prefer to be a little bit more niche, to like be a little bit more alternative and like independent, so I can keep my voice or whatever. But like there are people out there, again, like the people we were talking about, that do that kind of broader comedy, and yes, you do find more success and you can make more money that way. And if that's what you want to be doing with your life and your career, oh my god, go ahead, do it. I support you, whatever. That's just personally not what I want to do. So that's whenever I see them, I don't ever get mad about it, because I'm just like, oh well, like I know that that's not what I want to be doing. Also, I don't think that's funny, and like ultimately all you need to do is just be secure within yourself and know that you have good taste, and if you like what you like, girl, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, the anger and upset comes from like being frustrated sometimes, as like from a financial perspective, and being like, listen, like, as a capitalist, fucking like, and this goes without saying, you best believe the first moment I get to sell out, I will.
Oh, girl, we know.
Nick and I have discussed this, like I am J-Lo's the hustler, and like I will be doing, I'm absolutely going to
I've had numerous opportunities to sell out, and guess what? I never did.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a conversation in there where sometimes, like mental health is such a big issue that we've been talking about lately, and sometimes that does affect, because, ultimately, how we are measuring just what we're seeing on a daily basis is through social media. So like if we're constantly seeing these people just doing stuff.
Well, and for that, mama, I recommend sometimes you just need to take a break.
Oh, I know. Which, I mean, I technically have. I mean, when I was doing Unpopular Opinions every month, I was just pumping videos out, promoting the show all the fucking time. And now that I'm still in this artistic process to release this new show I'm doing, I was like, wait, I gotta be posting more videos or whatever. But like, honestly, I'm just like, the work itself is being worked on, what I actually want to be known for and what I actually want to be pushing is being worked on right now. So if I'm absent from social media for like 3 months or whatever, then it's no big deal, because the work is still being worked on behind the app. The only person, before we go into shout outs and Pioneer and Trailblazer, the only person who I see is breaking through and did what they did with social media and TikTok content and made it into something like an actual career is Caitlin Riley. I'm a big fan of Caitlin Riley.
Who is that?
You don't know Caitlin Riley? You know her.
If I saw a face, I might.
I'm gonna pull her up right now, because you definitely know her, and whether you like her or not, like I do like her. So if you don't like her, that is a question on your taste.
Is she the girl who's gonna be okay? Is she the one who did the girl who's going to be okay?
Yeah, her.
Okay, but then again, that is like. Yeah, and listen, that is a career of like doing. I think for me personally, I'm just like not super. I feel like for me, I get social media being like, obviously it's important these days, because like you need that to like remain in people's like consciousness and things. But there is like sometimes with people who have like a career trajectory like her, it does sometimes feel like there is like a limit of like how much they can do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She's the only person that's breaking through that, because she's already like, this is her year. She's already being announced as like, she was already on Hacks, like doing a lot of film and TV, like legit work, and she's getting cast as an actress, which she is. And like and she was already doing like backstage commentary for the saga. Like she is, and I will say her as a fan of her, like whatever. Mm-hmm. Like I don't see her getting typecast in this. Like she's already been breaking through on the kind of path that I believe she's trying to veer towards. So I guess to say is like people can find a way out if that's what they're trying to do. But
yeah, well, and
talent ultimately
wins. Well, ultimately, my thought process and how I operate is just like, I just want to do what makes me feel good and what I enjoy doing. So if I don't feel good doing something, why would I force myself to do that if that's not what I'm going to have fun doing? I'd rather just focus on the things that bring me joy.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I'm literally in the process of officially veering out of just labeling myself a comedian, really. Mm-hmm. Because, well, I was doing that for a few years because it got my name out there and it was good. And I am funny and I am a comedian. That no one can take that away from me. Right now, I'm veering into like a type of work that I'm going to be performing live that perhaps is not going to be just defined as like comedian telling jokes on a stage. It's going to be something completely different, which is something that I already did before I got known for doing comedy. So it's going to be really fun just doing that progression on social media. but also knowing that we've got this fantastic podcast and, great townspeople who like love it. And like, I can come in here and be funny all the fucking time. Wow, we got like serious towards the end.
Well, we have to wrap it up. I gotta leave.
But anyway, before we go, let's do some shout outs.
Yay.
Oh, and this is the one that I was telling you because it was so funny. Last episode, we talked about like being like, wait, like as long as you're 18 because of the high school.
Oh.
Somebody commented on Spotify, me, a high school listener that listens to every episode as soon as it drops. But I mean, listen, hey, we love the youth. Shout out to the youth. Shout out to whoever is a high school listener. If you're a high school listener listening to this,
shout out.
Then shout out to, drum roll, somebody saying, commenting on this last episode on Pioneers and Trailblazers, you could release an episode in Morse code and I'd still listen, which is very lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you for bearing with us on that technical difficulty that was.
We're working through it.
Also, at Ziza Beatless Braid on Instagram said, oh my God, hi Peru and Nick. I just wanted to say I love you guys and I'm so proud of how far your podcast has come. I really do look forward to it every single week. Please never stop. Heart emoji. Much love for you guys.
Oh,
thank you so much. You. And at Danny, well, I guess we'll just leave whatever. Another one. Hi, probably Peru. Just wanted to say, love y'all's podcast. It is a very good source of entertainment and education on a topic of sex. As a virgin myself, to answer the questions on the last pod about what the townsfolk do whilst listening, my answer is I usually knit, crochet, or play some games while listening to the pod.
Oh,
that's Miss Nick Core right there. Love y'all's energy, and of course, my ass is Team Peru. But I'll admit, sometimes I'm as dumb and as delulu as Nick herself. So.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delusional. Whatever.
And then last but not least, from YouTube, can we get a shout out? Jordan and Dylan from Wisconsin.
Oh my God, my home state.
Oh my God, a home state. Hello. Hi, y'all. I'm so glad to have you. We really appreciate you. Listen, we're going to have to ask y'all. It's time. We've reached a little bit of a plateau. We got to be honest in the town with the townspeople. And we really want to spread this, and we really got to reach some milestones. So if you're listening to this or watching and you still haven't subscribed to the Spotify or to the YouTube, how dare you?
Yeah, what is wrong with you?
That includes townsperson Alex. Yeah, Alex, we're blasting you out on the fucking pod.
Fake townsperson.
Fake townsperson. One of the OGs. One of the only follows on the account, yet he only subscribed on YouTube last week.
Wow.
And if there's one, there's others.
No, there's probably multiple.
And
you know who you are.
So if you don't want us to fucking excommunicate you from the fucking town,
wow.
and
it's that serious,
and the church that is Pioneers, please go on Spotify, subscribe as a listener, leave us a review, subscribe on YouTube. We were just talking about social media forever. These numbers matter because when we're reaching out to people to collab and to get some stuff going for the pod, they're going to be looking at those numbers, and we really want to reach to that 1,000 listeners on Spotify. We're at 8. Let's be honest. We're at 860 something.
Yeah, we like
need
that.
140 something more people. Between all of us, we can share this pod and build this town.
Come on, let's take the MLM route. Okay, everyone get them to join.
Get them to join. Get them to share it. Get them to listen. They're gonna like it.
You're a pioneer.
My pioneer. Actually, you go first.
My trailblazer. So yesterday, my roommate slept over at her boyfriend's, or maybe I think her mom might be visiting, so she's with her mom. Anyway, I had the apartment to myself when I got home from work. I smoked a joint. I listened. I've really been into re-listening to Troye Sivan's latest album, Something to Give Each Other.
Girl.
What's the Time Where You Are right now is the song. I've been playing that.
It goes from being like, I want to be myself and independent to be the most basic white bitch.
No, but it's such a good album. Anyway, I was really high and I had my headphones on and I was dancing around my apartment to that and there's just, I don't know, I was feeling my oats yesterday. I looked so good yesterday. Everyone was complimenting me. I felt sexy as fuck. So that music makes me feel sexy. So I was dancing to it.
That's great. I mean, I love Miss Drew. I'm just saying, it is,
She's a contemporary of mine.
She's a very good, big contemporary of mine. She's going to be a collaborator soon, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I'm just saying something that you can go from being I'm independent and just doing me, micro niche. And then you're like, one of the most popular albums that came out.
Well, honestly, it didn't even. I mean, that would be like me being like Dua Lipa, like Dua Lipa.
Of course,
like,
and I love Miss Dua.
Well, she's much. I mean, his album. I mean, it was good, but like, it's not doing the numbers that
Miss Dua
that the other girlies are doing that are like
Troy,
more mainstream.
you gotta go on Miss Trixie's channel if you want to get the
Well, no, I'm just saying. She's still like she's not like niche, but she's a little bit. She's not a huge artist.
Well, and
she's
for,
big
for gays, like
for charting.
It was the summer of Rush.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My pioneer actually, and I'm not sure if they're a listener or not, but I took a Soul Cycle class yesterday, and it was so funny because the instructor James, hi James, I'm not sure about me. I know you're aware that I have a pod because I was late for the class because I just rolled out of bed too late. So I was running and I was like, oh my God. So I called the studio and I was like, please, can you set up my bike? Because I want to just be able to come in. And I hate for them having to like do the red flashlight for me to set up my bike in the dark when the class starts. So I'm trying to do them a solid and be like, listen, can you just set up my bike so you don't have to like flash the light? I can just go in there and, get myself on the bike and not set it up. So like, sure, we'll help you. So I get there. The song had already started. Destiny's Child Say My Name was going because like James is known for playing, like a contemporary music. And the theme was like Millennial Mania, I think, for yesterday. I literally go there. I knew what my bike number was. And I just like stroll in there and I see the fucking open bike and the side. And I was like, hey, hop on. And this lady is looking at me like as I'm getting on, like, and I was like, what's the deal? Sorry, I'm late. And I was just being like, oh, she keeps staring at me because I'm getting on my bike late. And I was like, I'm only like 45 seconds late. She can go fuck herself. And I was like, it's like, great. And then like without missing a beat, like James is going on the podium and he's like, Peru, you're on the wrong bike. And then I was like, oh, and I gotta look at it because the lady next to me was literally trying to flag me down to be like, you're on the wrong bike.
How did she know?
And because literally as soon as I get off the bike, the person who was on the bike came back because she was getting some water, I think. So, and the lady was smiling at me. She wasn't trying to be a bitch. She was just like, she was actually just being like, she was like, hey, you're on the wrong, like she was, I don't know how they knew, but, and I was like, and then I got called out in front of everyone. And then I took my place at the proper bike that I had. And then later in class, James was making some kind of joke. And then he goes like, well, we don't want to hear it on Peru's podcast. And then I was like, oh, T.
Hey, okay.
Shouting out the pod.
Wait, love.
But anyway, yeah, he's a pioneer for shouting me out and schooling my ass and calling me out for being a narcissist, getting on the wrong bike.
No love. Okay. You can follow us at Pioneers and Trailblazers on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube if you're listening on Spotify. Subscribe to the Spotify if you're watching on YouTube. You can follow me at Nicholas.Rose on Instagram, Clownface Binge on TikTok, and Clownface Bitch on Twitter/X. And you can follow Peru at Hey Peru everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.